Okay, well, we're going to talk a little bit about bolt action, and first of all, thank you really very much for your enthusiasm in playing bolt action. It's been amazing. I mean, the game has been out for a little while, really, not long, and it's been extremely successful. I mean, I see the guys at Warlord are always extremely busy packing orders, and there's always a big rush of getting things done. So, great, thank you very much for engaging with our games. And you will probably want to know what's coming next for bolt action, and basically, as you've seen, we've done the rule book, and then we've done all the army books for the different nations, and after those we're going right now into a new phase, a phase where we start with the tank war book, which is all about obviously tanks and fighting with armored vehicles and armored divisions. And then we'll have another series of books that is effectively what we call campaign books or theater books, where a particular part of World War II, say for example the assault on Fortress Europe is the first one that is coming up. That one covers from effectively the Normandy landings up to the fall of Berlin, and it concentrates on the Western front, so the Western Allies fighting against the Germans into France and then Germany. Those books will have scenarios, extra units, special rules like amphibious landings and minefields and different type of scenarios, historical, quasi semi-historical. So there's a lot of information as well about specific units, like particular infantry units or armored divisions. So 21st Panzer Division, what they were about and how can you field an army of that particular unit. So there's all kind of rich information in those books. And by the way, the first book is being written by an American, Ryan Miller, and he's obviously worked with us and he's put together all this information on the last part of the war in Western Europe. After that, we'll have a book on the Eastern Front, written by Andy Chambers, which basically will go from Barbarossa to the fall of Berlin, but this time from the Eastern Front, from the fight between the Soviets and the Germans on that side. Future books will cover things like the Far East, both from a British and American point of view against the Japanese. We'll have a kind of a soft underbelly book with North Africa and Italy, the campaigns there, probably Road to Rome or something like that. And then we'll have another one about the early war, like Blitzkrieg, where the Germans start the invasion of Poland, France. So those are the ideas for the moment, and they may change. Things may, it's not all cast in stone, but that's what we're thinking for the next books. And like I said before, the first one of these that will come out soonish is the tank war book. So we'll spend a little bit of time. I'll tell you now something about it, but later on we'll actually show you some little bits of it as well. So let's begin. What is tank war? Tank war has been, very importantly, will be made very exciting by the fact that Italian company, has joined force with Warlord, and you will see a lot of plastic tank kits. So there will be a lot of plastic tanks and a lot of big battles with lots of tanks, we think. The book in itself has a first section, which is the armored platoons section. And in that section we'll explain how to collect an army that is a reinforced platoon, well, a tank platoon, as opposed to the normal bolt action. Because normal bolt action is really an infantry platoon reinforced by a few armor units, a few cars, armored cars, etc. While in the case of the new book, we're talking about an armor formation. So it's platoons of tanks, units of tanks, we can have in support some infantry, some artillery, but all of the infantry and artillery really are kind of drawn. They have to be towed by vehicles or mounted on vehicles. So the entire formation is effectively an armor formation. A mechanized division, I would say. So that's the first thing, that's the core of the book if you want, how to collect an armored force, an armored platoon. After that, there's a section which explains, basically gives you a new scenario, which is the tank battle scenario, where, for example, tanks are able to capture objectives, and it's all about scoring objectives and killing the enemy, as usual. But differently from the scenarios in the main rulebook of bolt action, tanks have a heavier, more important role, obviously. And after that, there's a section with experience for your crews. So tanks begin as inexperienced with no skills, and then as they survive and score kills during the game, they accumulate experience, and their crew becomes veterans, becomes regular, then veteran, but also they acquire skills, special rules that you can attach to the tanks, and that means that basically if you play a campaign, your tanks will, the surviving tanks will get better and better through the campaign. As examples of expert veteran aces, then there's a list of historical heroes, or well, tank veterans, tank aces. That, you know, there's a lot of Germans ones, but there's also pretty much there's something for every nationality really, and that those guys obviously are the supreme example of what you can get if you get all of the experiences, all the skills, and all. They have some special unique things, of course. After the section about the tank aces, you actually have a section about historical tank battles. So we'll go into the most well-known, like Kursk, for example, Battle of the Bulge. There'll be a lot of tank engagements, but also something a bit less well-known, like Kalingol in Mongolia, where the Soviets and the Japanese had the tank battle there, which I didn't know about, and I go, okay. And it's, you know, interesting, different periods and different tank battles all over the World War II. And I think perhaps the funniest thing is the last section, which is a collection of appendixes, where we've thrown a lot of funny stuff, really, a lot of kind of light-hearted material. Like, for example, we have a tank recognition pages where you kind of look at the silhouettes of tanks and you have to tell what you're about to shoot at. Is it a friendly tank, an enemy tank? So you recognize tanks like that. There's a section about talking like a tankers, with a lot of slang, World War II slang. And I think last but not least, there's a tank ace game, which effectively is just, imagine when you're after a tournament in a bar, in a pub in the evening, you can just bring a tank, form a team, and then you have a red team against the blue team with mixed, everybody's got their own little tank or big tank, and you just fight. So that's we tried it and it's very good fun. So, tank book coming up soon, keep an eye out for that, and now we can go and look at some of the pages a bit more in detail. Thank you. So this is an example of a page of a spread in the book, where obviously you can see there's a lot of pretty pictures of tanks firing at things, and also there's an example of a panzer company showing you, all the different platoons and the commands, and also you can see some information about different nationalities and how their tank platoons were organized, just to guide your collections. Hi, so these are a few more pages from the book. This section is additional command vehicles and adds a few of those units to each army. To each army you can pick a few units to lead your tank platoons and of course look at the pretty pictures of tanks. This spread is the start of the section about the great tank battles of World War II, and I picked it because I think it's got a bit of everything. It's got a great picture in art form, it's got a great picture in miniature sense, and it's got some information. So it gives you a good idea what the book is feeling like and the information it has. Okay, and this is the Tank Ace game, which again I think is great fun. So it gives you some rules about how to prepare the teams, the two teams, so that they are kind of slightly vaguely balanced, but there's a lot of super cool pictures, of course. But the idea is really, if I pick a tank to play, and then the captains of the team will pick, like at school, if you remember, I want him in my team because he's got a Tiger II. All right, I'll have him because he's got a Joseph Stalin, and so on. And you continue until the guy at the bottom that has a little armor car, and then you have fun killing each other as usual. So once again, sorry I couldn't make it, but I hope you enjoyed a little bit of a preview we've given you here. So see you next time, and I hope you're preparing your tanks for September when the book comes out. Thank you.